So go to databases. When we talk about a database is an organized collection of data that allows us, that gives us accessibility through, or that gives us accessibility through electronic method. So that means we are able to organize, we are able to collect data, and as soon as we collect this data, they become arranged. But for us to access them, we have to access them in an electronic method, in an electronical way. That is what a data is. So let's read anyway. So a database allows a great deal of data to be stored. So you can store them. That means you can gather this information and get them stored. So when you have to access them, you access them electronically. That means through technology or whatever it is. Every business that uses computers will compile and use databases. The information is set up so that it can be updated and called when needed. It is database because we store information about product, about service, about the company. We store information about these things there. So if we have to update it, we are storing them because when we need to update them, we can update them, and if we need to refer to them, we can also refer to them. So they can be updated or be referred to. That's why we call it a database. So the information is set up so that it can be updated and recorded. That's about that. So the collection of common data is called a file. So when we have to collect common data, about ages, we have a file for it. So a file is a collection of data. Get the point I'm making here? So you store data. When you have to collect this data, they are common. You want a common data.
Yes.
It will be called a file. So a collection of a common data is called a file. So we have this data. We have stored information about sales, about marketing, about purchases. We've stored all this information in our database. So we need a file. So the file, the name of those data that we've stored is called our file. So the file will be sales file, or marketing file. So we have collected all information, all data about sales into the sales file. So that's why we say a file is what? Collection of data. I think it's clear there.
Yes.
So a file consists of a set of related records. All the information, based on that. So the information on each record is listed under headings known as fields. So that means the file will have a heading. The heading might be the name, the age, the address, the occupation. All these things are part of what the file will contain. It's a file. So I have a file for you. What are in your file? Your age, your info, whatever information I need to know about you, I will get to know them through the file. So I can have access to them. And if you need to update it, you just have to give me any information that you are updating, then I put it into the file, into the database. So as soon as we put it in the database, your file is updated. So that is the usefulness of the file. You need it to be updated, yes, through the database, and we need to refer to it, yes, through the database. So a good database will have the following facilities. So what makes it a good database? One, be user definable. That means it has a function or meaning that can be specified or verified by user. Look at what they said. They said be user definable. So it means it's a good database if you can verify it is specific. So whatever you need, you know it is this. So that's what a good database is. It's not clumsy. It's straight. It's understandable. 2, file searching facility for finding specified information from a file. Identifying all clients with. The second point here, they said file searching facility for finding specified file. Any database must have a way to search. So you don't have to start looking from the first to the last. There should be a spot that when you, are you with me please?
Yes.
There should be a spot that when you put the name of the file into, it will quickly pop up for you. So that makes it a good database. File sorting facility for rearranging. So a file must be able to be arranged mostly in ascending order, maybe from the names of people from A to B to C to D to E and so on. It was in ascending order because it becomes easier. So what they are saying is that a good database must be in ascending order. And the last one, calculations on field within records for inclusion in reports. So it must also, you must be able to, there must be an icon, there must be a spot where you can calculate whatever you need to. It must be arithmetically used. You must be able to use. It must have accessibility to calculation. You must be able to calculate with your database, or maybe you need to put figures together. The database must give you, must be open to such situation for calculation, for arithmetic calculation, or whatever it is. So for a good database, it must comprises all these things. One, it must be user friendly. It must be definable. It must be specific. It must contain information that allows you to be. It must contain a search engine that allows you to have quick access to whatever file you need to have access to. And lastly, it must also have details about calculation. That makes it a database, a good database. So this is a form of database. So what are the advantages of database? Number one, it is the advantages now. Number one, it is relatively easy, quick, and cheap to collect, especially if the source that exists are known. This makes it very useful for smaller businesses. One of the advantages of having a database is, we said a database allows storage of information. Because it allows storage of information, it means you can gather information about things that are in existence now, things that are happening right now. Yes. Because you have a database. So whatever happens right now, you can input it in your database. That's an advantage. So it will be very useful for you. Two, several sources may be used. This allows the data to be checked and verified. Another advantage about database is that you can use several sources. So the only thing you need is, so whatever information, whatever source you are using, you're still going to come back to get the same result. The database is not going to change. You check it through your phone, you check it through the system, whatever way you use in checking your database, it will still be the same. Get the point here. Like my kids, they have their database. So when I click on it through my phone, it's still the same information. When I use the laptop to check their data, it's still the same. So irrespective of whatever source you use, the database still remains the same. It is not going to reduce or add up. Whatever is stored there is what you need, irrespective of whatever source you use in searching for it. Third one, historical data may be used, which can show a trend over time. Because you have a database, like we said you can refer to your database. Because you can refer to your database, it means maybe things from the past 5 years, you can have access to them. So that means you can use them for the present situation. And last one, it can be used before carrying out primary research, which helps to establish the most useful questions to be asked in questionnaire. Another advantage about using database is that before you go into primary research, before you start your field research, you can use information in the database because they are stored. They are there. They will be there forever. You can use information from the database to start your review before you carry on your research. With database, which is a form of secondary information or secondary data, they might be useful before you start your primary research. So whatever information you are unable to get, whatever information you are unable to get from the database could be what your research could start from. So I need to get information about you, but when I check through the database, some information are missing. So those information that are missing are what I need to get now. So the ones I have, the ones in the database are going to be useful for me to know where to start my information or my gathering of information from. These are the advantages of database. Then what are the problems about data? Database, number one. Data is not always in the form that a particular business would want because it has been collected for another purpose. Adapting it may take time and become expensive. One of the problems about database is that every business has its own reason for doing research. Yes or no? So the reason for that business doing the research might not be the reason why you are starting your own business. So adapting to that kind of research might take time. So information you need might take time because this is not you. It is a business it is another person that has done that research, and the person would have done it for a specific reason. And those reasons might not be the same reason why you are doing your research. So that means you might not be able to use a lot of information, and for you to adapt to the kind of information you get there might take time and might be expensive too, because you might be wasting time. Two, data may be out of date and not relevant, especially in fast changing markets. Because they are stored from the past, they might not be relevant to the present situation. because the market is dynamic these days. Things are changing over time. Information of 3 years might not be useful now. So going to using, staying or sticking to using a database as the basis of research might not be relevant. The third one, researchers must be aware of bias. For example, company reports and accounts may show figure in the best possible light to satisfy shareholders. This database might have been made to please some stakeholders. So I could write information about my business or about our financial, about our profits, so that investors or stakeholders could be happy. So I'm not giving a true figure of what is happening to our business, because I want people to see it like interesting to them, attractive to them. So it might be biased. It is not object. It is not. There's no objectivity.
Yes.
So it is subjective to certain situation. So if it is subjective, that means it's not going to be useful to you. It's not going to be useful for you. So that's the point I'm making. And the last one here, the last problem about using database is that there may have been problems with the research. For example, the footnotes to research may state that the sample used was too small and that the results may be inaccurate as a result. These are information that were gathered. We don't know the kind of situation the researcher were when they were making the research. So the result gathered might have been influenced by the kind of situation they are into. So that means in the course of doing the research, there might have been problems the researchers encountered, but which is unknown to you. Because it is unknown to you, using those information might be inaccurate. They might not be useful. So information that you gather through database sometimes are not, will not be, well, how do we put it? Information you gather through database might not be reliable, because it might not give you the right information that you need. So that's about database, and that ends the class there. Is it clear, please?
Yes.